Good morning, everyone. Live from Point State Park, along with Bob Pompiani. I'm Ken Rice, and we are switching gears pretty dramatically here, but we know you understand why. If you're interested in the continuing coverage of the tragedy this morning in Alexandria, Virginia, all CBS normal programming will be shifted to Pittsburgh CW online. You can continue following that story at cbsn.com. But here at Point State Park this morning, Bob, we are getting ready for a big Penguins Stanley Cup championship parade.
The sequel. Not many teams have been able to do this over the years. The Penguins have been fortunate enough, Ken, to do it twice now, in 91, 92, and now back-to-back 5 total championships. And I'll tell you, about 500,000 of our closest friends are going to be here. They started early, talked to some people who came down 11 o'clock last night just to get a first-hand look at what this is like up close. And slowly but surely, they have filled it all in. It's a beautiful day for hockey. It's a beautiful day for a Stanley Cup parade.
It's a beautiful day, but it's a slightly warm day. Highs are going to be in the 80s. It's humid. The city has advised anyone coming down here to be smart, be cool, dress for the weather. Have a lot of water with you. They're recommending 3 or 4 bottles of water to get through this because the parade is starting at this hour, but this Penguin celebration here at the point which will end the parade, that's not going to start for another hour, maybe 90 minutes. And these people, many of them have been here since 5 and 6 this morning.
Yes,
so we want everybody to be smart.
We've already seen there are a lot of EMS people around here, people making sure that people are hydrated. We've already seen a couple of people being taken out of here, so be careful if you do come down. If you're here already, if someone gets in touch with you, drink as much as you can drink in terms of water, Gatorade, whatever that may be. But I know one thing. This team, this city has come together once again, and it's amazing what the Penguins have been able to do. They're here to celebrate because it's rare to see, especially back-to-back championships, first time for the Penguins, any team in 20 years, the first time ever in a salary cap era. Mike Sullivan had a meeting before the season with players. He's always looking for motivational advantages, as a coach would do. And he said, why not us? His message to his team was, this has never happened before. No team has ever repeated during this salary cap era. Why not us? And that was their thing. And boy, did they overcome a lot of adversity along the way to get to this goal. And not many people thought it was possible, but they did it.
And these fans out here so appreciate what this team has done. You know, they said that last year's crowd for the Stanley Cup Championship Parade was the largest sports parade crowd in Pittsburgh history, estimated at about 400,000. The estimates for today were as many as 500,000. And consider, there has been rain in the forecast. It's not totally out of the picture. Right now, just some, puffy clouds. We're looking good for now. There's still this chance of spotty showers before the parade is over, so we're looking good. So if you're thinking weather might hold this crowd down, Well,
I tell you, Rick Dayton's at the starting line. He was there last year. And Rick, let's go over to you now live and give us a comparison last year, this year. And I know these guys are excited to ride in the parade again.
You know what, no doubt, and a ton of people here, and absolute mayhem down here at the beginning of this route. North Allegheny Band in full uniform, same stuff they'd wear for a Friday night. They're going to be in uniform this evening, and I'm telling you, they are going to be hot. 173 marching Tigers are leading off the parade. Pittsburgh Police has already gone through. We've got a camera right at the front. But now the North Allegheny, and right off the bat, you got a trombone with a Let's Go Pens. Does it get any more Pittsburgh than that? That's what this is all about, but it's a whole community getting together. A lot of these kids from NA graduated a week and a half ago. They wanted to make sure they were part of this Pens parade, so they stuck around, put the uniforms on one more time. I'm telling you, the people stacked up down here are stacked up 10, 12, 14, 15 deep. We've got people with their inflatable Stanley Cups. We've got people sitting on top of dump trucks. We've got people on scaffolding and all over the place. Any vantage point that they can get. Parents holding up their children so they'll have a chance to see it when Lord Stanley's Cup comes marching by. As far as the temperatures down here on the blacktop, there's no doubt it is very warm. Here's the way it's going to work. There are going to be some mobile units, meaning that players are going to either be in a truck or on the back of a convertible. There will be some others that are going to be on, for instance, ducky boats that'll be carrying large parties. There are going to be some sponsors that are also part of this. The broadcasters are also going to be part of this as well, and we will start to see some of those people coming through right now. This is the tail end of the North Allegheny Marching Band. There's actually going to be 3 different marching units that will be coming through here. NA is the first. Now, we told you about some of the sponsors who are going to be part of this as well. Well, there's also going to be some of the people who are very well known, whether they are broadcasters, whether they're people who, oh, I don't know, sing a national anthem from time to time. But you're seeing some of the people there from one of the radio stations here in town that's passing out signs about being back-to-back champions. Some of the sponsors here from Key Bank, one of the sponsors, and then right after that, you know, Nashville made such a big deal about all the singers they have in country music territory. Well, you know what? Around here, we've got a guy simply known as Jeff. Jeff Jimerson wearing number 91 jersey today. The guy not only sings the national anthem, but he lets 18,000 other people sing with him, and that's his signature move. At the end of every national anthem, he breaks out the towel, he waves the towel, and fans go crazy with him. So there's Jeff Jimerson. Also coming down the pike right now, some members of the broadcast team that cover the team all year long. Now, of course, you have seen the national coverage for the last couple of years, but this, Paul Staggerwald, Bob Airy, Dan Potash, there he is. See, guys from Root Sports, they've covered it for a long time. They cover it all through the regular season, the first round of the playoffs. Some other guys who you've seen a time or two. Jay Caulfield played for the Penguins, was a big D-man for them. Also, Rob King is there right now. So the Penguins parade continuing on. And then a few other people who also are known. One of them played for the Pens. That's Colby Armstrong and Stan Savran. So some people who know a thing or two about Penguins hockey. Now, these are some of the smaller cars that they've got in here. Some of these convertibles where the players are riding. But we're also going to have some much larger vehicles involved. The front office staff is up on the roof of a double-decker bus. These are all members of the Pens staff and some of their families as well, as they are having an opportunity to see what's going on here. Before we continue on with the players and things like that, let's head up the parade route, or down Grant Street, if you will. Rich Walsh waiting at Grant on the Boulevard of the Allies. Richie.
Well, Rick, what a nice ending it is. Only one team gets to do this, and the Penguins are lucky to do it for the second straight season. I'm at the corner of Grant Street and Boulevard of the Allies, and I was here last year. And I'm not an official count of the people here, but I can tell you there is a lot more people here this year at this time right now than there were last year. And last year they had about 400,000 people here. This place just gets crazy. This is the home stretch where all the cars come through. The first player that'll come through is Tom Kuhnackel, but there's 70 or so cars that are coming. And you can see some of the fans. There's a ton of Marc-Andre Fleury fans here. Potentially could be his last year with the Penguins. Unfortunately, he is a big fan favorite of all these people here lined up all the way down the Boulevard of the Allies. Fans here to cheer on the Stanley Cup champions. Hey, where are you guys from?
Right here in Pittsburgh.
What do you think of this Cup run?
Great. It's great.
Who's your favorite player? Who are you looking forward to seeing? Carl Hagelin. He had the empty netter that sealed it for the. Well, he didn't get the game winner, but he still got a goal that really put it away for the Penguins. How about you? Where are you from?
Right here in Pittsburgh.
Whereabouts?
Ben Evans.
So, who's your favorite player?
Oli Mata.
How about this series? It's pretty nice.
Yeah, got a little stressed out.
And I was on the ice after the win, and what a tremendous experience that is. And a lot of the guys were talking about how much this year was harder than last year to win it. They had to overcome so much injuries, adversity, so many things happened for the Penguins this year, and it all turned into another Stanley Cup champion. All right, well, we'll come back here. I'm going to send it back. Who am I sending this back to now? All right, well, we're going to take a break. We're going to be back to continue our coverage of the 2017 Stanley Cup champion Pittsburgh Penguins parade. Back in a couple minutes.
The Penguins Stanley Cup Victory Parade coverage on KDKA-TV is proudly presented by UPMC, the official healthcare provider of the Pittsburgh Penguins, and by Ram 1500, proud to be the official truck of the Pittsburgh Penguins.